Hey, and hello, this is the Whoop Forge with another hobby and chill. Um, so, in this video, we're going to talk about spam. And a lot of it. Get those coconuts behind us because we're going to gallop right into the core of the heart of the issues, that is spam. Again, with a lamp that you can't really see the bullet points very well because it's glowy as anything. It's a holy book, this. I just drowned it in holy water and started growing. That was really cheesy, I get you, but still. So, spam. What? Well, I need to make a few disclaimers here. Before I go into the definition of it, I need to make a disclaimer that I am a believer in trickle-down game balance. I believe, because I've seen murky waters and people bring these up as situations on wargaming forums and social media like Facebook and Dakka and stuff, that when you have a game, you obviously have holes in it. Doesn't matter how tight it is, someone will find a hole and exploit it. When they do, and they post that army list online, you'll see people go towards it, and this is where it starts trickling down, right? Some people may find a list, they'll copy and paste, and they'll trickle down, trickle down, trickle down. They'll use it in grand tournaments, and then they'll see how powerful it is, and then some people may win the tournaments, and then you see people copy and paste those army lists and use them for regular games. Again, trickle down, trickle down, trickle down, till the very bottom, where someone already had that list in a codex previous, because it was just units they liked, and then they get this new edition, and suddenly it's now the most overpowered, most broken build available. That's not fair on them, and that's when I talk about trickle down hitting to the bottom, where it hits the people who weren't looking for that. And that's why I'm a firm believer of trickle down game balance, because within the context of 40k, that's always happened in editions previous beforehand. So when I'm talking about my stuff, and the reason why I'm talking about my belief in that sort of concept is mainly due to the fact that it's more about the players and the community than the game itself. Because no matter if you've got a following, no matter what game or how tight your rule set is, there'll be people there to exploit it and find holes in rules that you might have not even seen, and your playtesters may not have seen, and people will pick this apart. Simple as that. It happens. It happens in every game. War Machine's another prime example. So anyway, so when I'm talking about it, please understand it's coming from that perspective of things when I'm talking about spam. So, this video will focus on 40k. Why? Because 40k is the most recent thing with 8th edition, and because it's the easiest thing to really talk about, because it's the easiest thing to really point at for this sort of stuff. What is the definition of spam? That's always the most difficult thing to answer, because obviously there's the food, but there is also for everyone, spam's different. I'm going to try and be as objective as I can and say that anything more than the legal requirement of force organisation chart in any game, for us, we're going to talk about force organisation charts in 40k, but anything more than the legal requirement is classed as spam. That's the mindset I'm going to go with for this video. That, to me, seems the most objective and fair objective concept I feel I can talk about. So when we talk about spam, is spam the enemy? Is spam this great massive thing that's the problem with 40k? Well, again, going back to trickle down balance, it's all about excess, really. It's about excess, it's about the community, and it's about Mathhammer. Yeah. The main issue with spam at the moment is the example seen in the ATC that has been FAQ'd by the recording of this video, and hopefully the posting of this video, it has been noted that Games Workshop have taken steps towards mitigating that, but I will talk about tournament experience as well, of why it's still only baby steps. Now, spam currently is a very viable, or to some people, overly viable build in 8th. Spam is numerical superiority, whether it be in any context or concept of firepower, durability, or just sheer amount of models. Something along those lines would be classed as spam. My example, and this is my example of arguing that spam isn't necessarily a bad thing, is that I personally run 5 units of Warp Talons, 5 units of Raptors and 1 unit of Warp Talons. That's 6 slots. Or if we go by outright detachment standards, if you add 2 HQs to each detachment, that's 2 detachments of minimum of 3. That would be classed to me as spam. I know I feel like I've just contradicted myself, but you kind of get the picture. I'm literally min-maxing in spam to get the maximum, to get the maximum benefits. Now, as Raptor spam, as I've called it, because at the end of the day, it is spam. I am spamming Raptors, I am using spam. Is Raptors the most viable thing for the Chaos Army or the Heretic Astartes army at the moment? No. Full stop, no. It doesn't have the damage output that I wish it would have. I'm biased towards Raptors, I'll be honest. I wish they'd do a lot more. But, hey, they're just a Space Marine with a jump pack. Apologies for the kicking of the tripod. Again, so is spam the enemy? This is where it gets awkward for most, and this is where I'm going to be talking about something that may be controversial. And that is the community. The community can be a great place. It can be a fun place. But it can also be a very toxic and hostile place as well, especially when you meet the players in extremities. Unfortunately, life is just like that. You have extremities in everything. The Warhammer 40k community is no different. And what you see, especially as I've talked about trickle-down power balance, is that you will have some people who will use excess. I need to talk about excess in a larger context. Mathhammer is not an enemy. I know a lot of people like to say, oh, but Mathhammer this and this and this and that. It's, Mathhammer, when I spam Raptors, I'm spamming them because I like Raptors, but because mostly I like Raptors, but I can't deny they give out shed loads of attacks in close combat. I cannot deny that they do a good amount of damage and morale when morale works. I can't deny that the potential of the attack value of just having a shed ton of attacks is a lot. Mathhammer isn't the enemy. The community using excess is, and this is the point I'm going to try and argue for, or argue against. I don't know, it's like 4 in the morning, I'm tired, there we go. So, excess, where it's okay to have Mathhammer, but it shouldn't be the domineering aspect of the game. That is what leads to excess, which leads to power lists like the ATC, where we had the 5 Storm Ravens with either Gulliman or Dante, or even just different shade of Space Marine colour. It leads us to editions previous, like the Invisible Wraith Knight, and the whole Scatterbike spam. It starts showing the cracks of the game. And what you see is, you'll see these people win tournaments to these lists, or post them up on Wargaming forums, and then it starts infecting. Like I say, it's a ripple. It carries on. You'll see people taking these lists and then taking them to tournaments, or you'll see them going to local game stores for pickup games and then surprising their opponents with these. I'm not saying everyone is like that, but we do have those sorts of players in our community. That's a given. Unfortunately, life's just like that. We just have to deal with it. There's no way of getting rid of them. As much as I would like, they're still around to this day. They have been since I've been in the wargaming hobby since 2007, and they've been there since way before that, when H.G. Wells probably made the first war game, which was Little Wars. They've always been there, and they won't show a sign of stopping, because people are like that. Some people are like that. So what we have is a problem. We have a problem where we have excess in Mathhammer which show these lists, and then we have the problem that people use these lists and then duplicate these lists and then use these lists in all sorts of games. And then people get pissy with those lists, and then they bitch and whine on it on social media platforms like Daka or Facebook, like 40k groups and pages, etc., etc. So is spam the enemy? No. Excessive Mathhammer is. Again, there should be an aspect for all parts of the hobby for everyone, because everyone has a different definition of what they enjoy most out of this hobby. Some people, number crunching is the most fun they get out of this hobby. There's nothing wrong with that. They can quite happily number crunch away. But it should not dominate over somebody who wants to take units just because they like them. You know? It shouldn't become like that. A game should reward both with a good play style on the board, as in what they decide on the objectives of the mission on the board. That's what a game should reward. It shouldn't reward a better list creation than another person. That is my personal belief. You know, it shouldn't make, because somebody made this list, it shouldn't make another person force them into a small box where they feel like if they take that unit, they will lose because they took that unit. That's the wrong choice. A game should not do that. Unfortunately for 40k, we do have that issue of people who will come in and they will excessively Mathhammer and then still use the list. So, what have we talked about? We've talked about Trickle Down, we've talked about community, we've talked about the definition of spam, we've talked about the ATC of the Stormraven list. I haven't talked about my experience. I've talked about this in the previous 8th edition video, and I need a huge disclaimer here. My opponent was fantastic, he was a nice guy, we ended up having fun towards the end of the game. However, the list was Tzeentch Demon Spam Smite, where it's a lot of Brimstone Horrors, bubbling up around Demon Princes with Fate Weaver, bubbles around with Brimstone Horrors because they're cheap. You can't get rid of them as easy as I thought you could. They have a 4-pin bun save, which is hard to get through. And if you can't get rid of the Brimstone Horrors in a turn, and can't get to the Demon Princes within a turn, you're going to die. And that's what I learned. I felt that that's the only one game I felt where a game's been determined in list creation. And like I say, huge disclaimer, my opponent was a good sport, he was great to be around, and it was a fun game. We were just making jokes. I mean, at the end of the game, we knew I was going to lose, so I was going, right, I'm going to just do mindless bayonet charges straight into you, just to see what will happen, just for the fun of it. And it was fun. It was funny, it was fun, we're both having a laugh, it was a good time. The opponent was great. But that list is one of the problems that 40k has. So is the problem spam? No. The problem is the excessive amount of Mathhammer from the community. How do we, in conclusion, how do we solve this? That's the most controversial point I'm going to make within the context of this hobby, or the context of this video, or this aspect. We need to, even during grand tournament levels, put a line in the sand. we can math hammer. We can excessively math hammer to the point where we have the 5-storm rating lists. But we need a line in the sand saying, that seems funny as hell, or that seems broken. We won't use it though. We need a line in the sand to say, that's good in theory, not good in practice. Even at Grand Tournament level, we need to hold each other to that standard. Why? Because going back to the ATC, I do feel as if when I was listening to the Long War podcasts, it did feel like I was questioning why people were there. And I'm not saying that people weren't having a good time. It sounded like everything there. And I'm not trying to criticise the Long War or the ATC event itself. It seemed that people had a good time, and more power to them. What I question is why, from what it sounded like out of 295 players, around 200 to 290 of them brought the same list. Now, I'm not saying that is the exact numbers. I probably am bullshitting on those numbers, but those are a very, very high amount. And people in the high spots, or the top 50 spots, had this list where it was just 5 Storm Ravens and either Gullyman, Dan A, or just different flavour of Space Marine colours. And that makes me question, why would you invest in money for transport, beer and stuff for the bar, the time investment for painting the army, to build that army, to get that, to collect that army, that army list, only to go from one side of the states to the other side of the states to play 3 games or something like that, 3 to 5 games, I'm going to say, to play the same list. That puzzles me. That puzzles me because I don't see, if I go to a tournament, I do kind of expect painted minis, and this is why I don't often go to tournaments, because I'm trying to paint my own at the moment. But I question it, because when I go to a tournament, I want to see painted minis. I want to see a variety of armies. I don't want to see 5 Storm Ravens. I might want to see that once. But what I'm looking for is a variety. I want to see platoons of guardsmen, a guardsman tank heavy list, Lehman Russ heavy list. I want to see jet bike. I want to see lots of jet bikes accompanied by a sea council on jet bikes. Meanwhile, I want to see another list with lots of Wathan, something that feels in theme and stuff. I want to see Tau with battlesuits, and I want to see mechanized Tau tanks and a more modern warfare approach, like Fisher Fury. I want to see a variety of playstyles. I want to see a variety of lists. I want to play against a variety of lists. I don't want to play against the same list. If I'm building the same, I don't want to play against the same thing. That to me is boring. I personally don't figure out why people would find enjoyment in that. And again, this isn't me trying to critique the ATC event or people in the ATC event. I personally just wouldn't find enjoyment in that. And I would struggle to find why other people would find enjoyment in that as well. So again, this is why I say there needs to be a line in the sand where we have Captain Picard on the other side saying, "Oh, father, this is the line. Do not come any farther." Whatever the quote was. Oh, another accidental kick of the tripod. But yeah, okay. So we need to draw that line where we can make those lists, but we don't put them into practice. I believe for the health of the game, if we as a community make that line in the sand, then the health of the game will overall be better, even in Grand Tournament standards, where if you can go to a tournament and think, I've got a shot at this, and you see a variety of armies, I personally see that as the full experience, where you get to play against Tau, but not just any Tau. You play against Farsight Enclaves in the second game. You're playing against Samhain, Eladon. In your third game, you're playing against the forces of the Ultramarines, the Robo Girlyman. Robute Gullyman. I meant to stop saying about Robo Girlyman. Yeah, you can try. Row your boat. I'm digressing. Tra-la-la-la-la-la. Back to the points and book. So, again, we need that line in the sand where if you can, where we need to say that's a dick move, even in Grand Tournaments. So there are two possible moves we can resolve this, in my opinion. Both are as controversial as each other. First one is we make, not as effective as the second one, but the first one is that we make a ban list, like in trading card games like Yu-Gi-Oh!, Cardfight Vanguard, Magic the Gathering. We have a ban list, or, in Magic's case, we take out a load of sections from previous boosters and we ban them, or certain cards where we just ban. In this case, what I'm thinking of is army list ban. So we see this army list of 5 Storm Ravens as an example, and we ban it. That's going to piss people off. But again, this is why I'm saying this is controversial. The second idea, and the reason why I say it's not really effective, is because you could make exactly the same list but change one unit. You could change Gleeman for a 5-man squad of snipers, sniper scouts, for example, or have some more sniper scouts so you can pick off characters. Sometimes it can give way to an even better list if we start banning these lists, so you have to ban that list in addition, and then it ripples and ripples and ripples and ripples until the point where people feel so restricted that they can't really have the full experience of variety that I was talking about. The second one is we either limit or ban certain options and we cherry pick out each codex. So when we see these army lists with 5 Storm Ravens and stuff, we talk about banning, say, a Storm Raven, or we limit it to 2. Say 2. Nothing more, nothing less. So people still get play with those units, but you can't bring that 5 Storm Raven list that is mathematically superior to what an opponent may bring. Now again, both are going to piss people off because people want to play with the toys. And that's where it becomes controversial. It's a case of how do we get an organisation, or where do we get a tournament, not a tournament official, where do we get a place where everything can be included and not just like at a tournament, not a gaming event, a tournament, where it isn't necessarily excessive math hammer, where it's about a variety of armies and people having a fun time, because fun's subjective, again, within this hobby. Some people find fun in math hammer, some people find fun in painting the minis, etc., etc. But at a tournament, I do feel as if we need to learn that winning's the objective, but not the experience. The experience should be more about just enjoying playing a variety of play styles, a variety of army lists, not about how powerful your list is versus how powerful somebody else's list is. That seems like awkward social interaction. But that's just me. That's just my personal view. Tournaments, the objective is about winning, but the overall experience should not be the objective. It should be a case of it should be a case of you take the units you like the look of, you make it into a force, and you get good with that force. That, to me, is what makes a truly competitive player. Someone who just gets good, or plays over and over again, and fails over and over again, has so many practice matches and loses, but every time they lose, they make a note of where they went wrong, and then they learn. And then the next game, they'll fail again, and then they learn. And then they fail the next game, and then they learn, until they start winning. And then they win because they've been through it, they've done this, they've done that. They didn't rely on excessive math hammer. They won because of their experiences, because they've been through the failures, and because they've been through the failures, they can make the right choices next time. That, to me, is competitive play. That, to me, is a competitive player. Not someone who just went on the list on Daka and just went copy and paste, this is what I'm bringing. But that's just my opinion. That's the conclusion. My overall feelings is, well, we'll just have to wait and see what the comment section brings below. That is my take on it. Do I feel this is realistic? No. I don't feel like it's going to happen. But for the sake of the health of the game, that's how I feel it should go. And that's from my perspective of trickle-down power balance. So I want to say thank you for watching. I know this may have been a harder video to digest. First thing I'm going to say is comment below. I would like to hear your thoughts on it. You might think what I'm saying is utter bollocks. You might be right, you might be wrong, but again, this is a discussion of opinion. And something that's hopefully going to be more productive. In fact, the only thing I ask is that people keep it civil. If you're going to say why my opinions utter bollocks, then please describe in detail why. Just don't make a throwaway comment. Because if I see a throwaway comment where, oh, your opinion's wrong, and you don't explain yourself why, I will delete it. Not because I want to silence people's opinions, but because without explanation, there's nothing to really contribute. So I want to hear what your opinions are in the comment section below. I would like to see that. If you like this video and you liked more of these controversial discussions, as well as more hobby and chill videos, then please click the subscribe button, hit that notifications button so you get every update from every uploaded video that I make. From Ave Dominus Nox, project updates, to battle reports, to updates on other armies and other games, like Batman Miniatures game, hopefully Doctor Who at some point. Let's just see what happens. If you thought this was an interesting discussion, if you thought this was an interesting discussion, then please share this video with your friends. If you think this was worth talking about and worth discussing, then please share this video with your friends. The more the name that gets out there, the better. So I want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for your patience for watching and hopefully listening to the whole discussion about this video. And I just want to say thank you for watching. Because this is it's not an easy subject to talk about when people have sensitive fingers, whether you're for or against tournament play or whatever play style, whatever type of player you may be. So thank you for watching. This is the Warp Forge, signing out. And remember, keep on forging.